Now at 5, a president's praise.
He did a very good job when he was in the White House.
For a now former aide facing troubling accusations.
As you probably know, he says he's innocent, and I think you have to remember that.
Tonight, the White House faces new fallout after an aide is accused of abuse. And the questions about what the president's chief of staff knew and when he knew it continuing to swirl tonight.
And now the president's own comments are only adding to the controversy because of what he didn't say today. CBS 4's Elliot Rodriguez is in the control room with the day's developments. Elliot.
Well, that's right, guys. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly is under fire tonight for his handling of the Rob Porter case. The White House staff secretary has cleaned out his desk, but the details surrounding his ouster are raising questions about what Kelly knew and when he knew it, and whether or not he asked White House staff members to cover up disturbing allegations of domestic abuse. Today, the president chimed in. The president answered questions for the first time about ousted White House staff secretary Rob Porter. He resigned after allegations that he physically abused 2 ex-wives became public. The president said Porter did a good job, never mentioning the victims or the alleged abuse.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You have a comment on Mr. Porter? Thanks, guys.
Well, we wish him well. He worked very hard. I found out about it recently, and I was surprised by it. But we certainly wish him well. It's a obviously tough time for him. He did a very good job when he was in the White House. And we hope he has a wonderful career, and hopefully he will have a great career ahead of him. But it was very sad when we heard about it, and certainly he's also very sad. Now, he also, as you probably know, he says he's innocent, and I think you have to remember that. He said very strongly yesterday that he's innocent. So you'll have to talk to him about that, but we absolutely wish him well. Did a very good job while he was at the White House. Thank you very much.
Porter's first wife shared photos with the Intercept website showing what her face looked like after he allegedly punched her while on vacation. His second wife detailed abuse during her marriage to Porter.
Within a matter of a couple of weeks after being married, I was aware of his temper. He came and grabbed me by the shoulders here and pulled me out of the shower in a rage.
The timeline for who in the White House knew about the allegations against Porter continues to take shape. CBS News has learned Porter told counsel Don McGahn over a year ago that a security clearance background check might include derogatory information. In June, the FBI sent a file including the claims to the White House Security Office, but the file didn't go to McGahn. Then in November, Porter's ex-girlfriend called McGahn to tell him about the abuse allegations. McGahn passed some information to Chief of Staff John Kelly, but the details are not clear. Kelly initially defended Porter when the claims became public this week, but in an email to White House staff Thursday night, he said domestic violence is abhorrent and has no place in our society. Resignation. He came under fire last week for comments he made suggesting some undocumented immigrants did not apply for DACA because they were lazy. Rick and Rube, back to you.
Elliot, thank you very much. And President Trump says the Democrats